iCodeTeacher.com. In this lesson, we're going to go over how to use an image picker controller to allow a user to select an image from their photo library in your application. So an image picker controller is a relatively simple object. It really just has one job, and that's to display itself, show all the images the user has in their photo library or in their camera roll, and then select one. And then when a user selects an image from that list of photos, the image picker controller will alert you using delegate methods of the image or media selected. And so then you can take that media and do whatever with it you want to, or whatever the user is trying to do with it. So let's create a new project in Xcode. In this lesson, we're going to actually choose a view-based application since we need a view controller. What we're going to do is we're going to present the image picker controller as a model view controller. What that means is we'll take this pick an image view controller, create the image picker controller, and then display it, and it will rise up from the bottom of the screen. And to do that, you use the present model view controller animated method. So the very first thing we need to do is open our pick an image view controller.zip file. Now again, if we select Files on here and check out the Identity Inspector panel, you can see that the class of the Files Owner object here is pick an image view controller. So this Files Owner here is actually the view controller object, right? So they're one and the same, so to speak. So we can do to this Files Owner what we would do to the pick an image view controller here that we've declared or defined in code. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add an image view to this main view here. Basically, it'll take up the whole screen, and we're going to allow the user to double tap the screen, and double tapping the screen will present the image picker controller, and then they can select an image, and the image selected will be displayed in the image view on the screen, and then the image picker controller will be dismissed, or will slide down from the screen and hide itself. Okay, so first we're going to want to drag that image view onto the screen here. Right, and so in order to make this image view respond to the double tap, we need to actually subclass image view and implement the touches began with event method. So if you have user interaction enabled for an object, touching it will result in the touches began, touches moved, touches ended, and touches canceled events being called to that object that was touched appropriately, or in the correct order. Right, so the only one we care about is touches began, and so we're going to need to subclass this image view and then implement that method and create the image picker controller and display it when the image view is double tapped. So let's begin by creating that image view subclass. So we have Objective-C class selected here, and we're going to make it a subclass of UI view, but actually we're going to have to change that to UI image view. Right, so we'll name this touchable image view. And now we need to change this to a subclass of UI image view, save. And now we can go to Interface Builder, and then let's select this image view, and then in the Identity Inspector, let's actually change the class to touchable image view. And so now we can modify that image view that we have here in Interface Builder using the code version of it right here. So all we need to do really is implement touches began. Touches began, and set touches with event UI event. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the documentation and search for UI touch. Of course, when this method is called, this touches set is a set of UI touch objects, and we're going to enable one touch. So multiple touch is going to be disabled, so we only have to worry about that one touch. So we're just going to grab that one touch object from the set. And so now there's a property here for that UI touch object that we're going to be given when that method is called tap count, and this is the amount of times a user tapped in the same area of the screen within a certain predetermined or preset period of time. So if the user taps the same spot on the screen repeatedly, and they tap it quickly enough, each successive UI touch that is passed in this touches began method will have an increased tap count by 1 each time. So the first time the user touches the screen in one spot, this will be called, and the touch object will have a tap count of 1. If they touch it again quickly enough before that preset period of time expires in the same spot on the screen, then this touches began method will be called a second time, but the second time the touches object will have a tap count of 2. And this will go on forever. The user could touch the screen a million times in the same spot, and as long as they do it quickly enough and in the same area, the touches object will have a tap count of 1,000,000. So we only care about if the user double tapped the screen. So let's get that touch object, and then we can use a really simple if statement to figure out if the user touched the screen twice. So UI touch equals touches any object, and then if touch tap count equals 2, we know the user double tapped the screen. And then here is where we want to actually create the image picker controller and then display it on the screen. Now again, we need to, the present model view controller animated method can only be sent to a view controller, so we're going to actually have to present the image picker controller from this view controller here. So what we'll do is we'll create an action to present that model view controller or present the image picker controller, and we'll just say create and present image picker. And now we'll save this. Okay, and so now we need to make some connection using IB outlets between this image view and the view controller that maintains the view that this image view sits inside of. So let's create, well, first we need to import the header file of the pick an image view controller, right? And now let's create an interface builder outlet, IB outlet, pick an image view controller, pick view controller we will call it. Now we can save this and go back to interface builder, and now again this image view is of class touchable image view. So because we just created an interface builder outlet in the header file of the touchable image view class, we can now, that actually exists for this image view in interface builder. So if we go to the connections inspector, you see here outlets pick view controller, the one that we just created here in code. So now we can drag to the file's owner here, which is the pick an image view controller object, and now we can call to that when the user double taps the screen. So if the user double taps the screen, pick view controller, create and present image picker. And just like that, we have called to that method. So now let's implement that method and create that image picker controller and present it. Now, it's important to note here that an image picker controller is actually a subclass of UI view controller. So you can treat it as such, and we're going to do that when we utilize the present model view controller animated method. You can tell from the title of the method that it only takes view controllers. You can only present a model view as a view controller. So let's implement that method, create and present image picker. So first let's allocate and initialize that image picker controller that we're going to present. UI image picker controller image picker equals UI image picker controller alloc and init. Now let's take a look at the documentation here. There's two things we need to set for this image picker controller before presenting it on the screen. So we have here a source type property, and this is, depending on what you set this to, the image picker controller will grab the media or the images it lists as available selections differently. So the first one here, the first constant that we can pass in for the source type property of our image picker controller is type photo library. And so it says here, pick an image from the device's photo library. So that'll be photos that the user syncs from iPhoto from their Mac, or the pictures folder if they're syncing with a PC. The second type is type camera. So if you pass this in for the source type, the image picker controller will actually allow the user to take a new picture and then select that. The last here is the saved photos album. So this is photos they've saved over previously over a period of time from their camera. So any pictures that they've taken from their camera in the past will now be listed as options for this image picker controller, or for the list of images shown in the image picker controller. So we're going to go with photo library. We can't do the other two because I'm on the simulator here, so nothing will show up. So image picker source type equals UI image picker controller source type photo library. So we want to set the delegate of this image picker object to self. So we're going to actually implement the delegate method right here in pick an image view controller .m. So delegate equals self. So when a user selects an image, the image picker controller will alert its delegate, and it'll pass in the actual image selected inside of a dictionary in the method call to in the delegate method. So then we can actually present this. So self present model view controller image picker animated, yes. And now we want to implement the delegate method. So we need some link between the pick an image view controller and the touchable image view that we created in interface below. So we need to create an outlet. We need this so that we can actually set the image of that image view to the image selected from the image picker controller. So IB outlet UI image view image view. So of course the touchable image view is, or the image view we created and they're using an interface builder, is of class type touchable image view, but it still is a subclass of image view. So we're basically typecasting in a way here, and all we're going to use this instance variable for is to set the image. Now an image view still has an image property. Just because it's a touchable image view doesn't mean any of that changed. So we can still reference it as an image view as long as we're not going to use any of the additional features that we've added to the touchable image view in this or with this image view here of type image view. So it'll still work and won't cause any problems. So let's go to interface builder and make that connection. I click and drag to the image view here, right? And now we have that connected, and let's save. And now we can implement the delegate method. So there's only one delegate method we need to implement, and that's the one that's going to be called after a user has selected some image. So image picker controller UI image picker controller image picker did finish picking media with info NS dictionary info. Okay, so the image picker actually passes in an NS dictionary called info here, containing the image that was selected. So it contains a few things, but one of the things it contains in that dictionary is an info. So we can get that image by using the key UI image picker controller original image and passing that in for the object for key method, and that will return the object that will be returned if we call to that using that key will be the actual an UI image object containing the image selected. So image view image equals info object for key UI image picker controller original image. Now of course again this is a constant. UI image picker controller original image is an Apple defined constant, and passing in that key returns an image in the form of a UI image containing the image selected, or the original image selected, from the image picker controller that we presented to the user. And then we actually need to dismiss the image picker controller. It's not dismissed automatically, so self dismiss model view controller animated yes. And then let's save this, and we have one more thing to do. If we go to Interface Builder, select the image view, and go to the Attribute Inspector, you can see here that user interaction is actually not enabled. So we're just going to check that, and what that means is now this will respond to touches, or will call to its touches began, moved, ended, canceled methods when someone touches the object. So now we can save this. Now we can build. And now if we double tap the image picker controller, comes up. Now let's select some image, and there it's listed in the, or displayed in the image view that we added on the screen. So one more thing just to make this nice. Let's just put a label on here that says double tap to select an image. Align this horizontally. Save and build one more time. Now if you notice, if we tap one time, nothing happens. If we tap twice but we take too long, nothing happens. So it has to be within a certain period of time. So, and there it comes up. So select any image, and it is displayed in the image view. So you can see that image picker controllers are really simple objects. They have one purpose really. That's just to basically allow communication between you and the user when you want the user to select some media for your application for personal use at any given time. Well, that wraps up this image picker controller lesson. I'm Anthony from mycodeteacher.com. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you tune into future lessons. Thank you for watching.